You guys ready?
Ready.
Hopefully.
What's a good Halo opening? What's a character that
Yeah, you get to.
Hey, Halo.
Like that.
Perfect. That is amazing. Welcome, campers, to another episode of the Campfire Gaming Podcast, where we shall be talking today about Halo and its flights. Per usual, check us out on our website, campfiregamingpodcast.com. From there, you can join the conversation in our Discord. Check out our Twitter, Instagram, all those fun things that you like to do, and even see us on YouTube. Unless you're watching us on YouTube now, then probably just keep watching and then jump over and join all our website stuff at campfiregamingpodcast.com. Also, while you're there, hit that like, hit that subscribe, share it with your friends, and let's get rolling into the conversation. Gentle Feathers, Chris, Rich, Matt, dudes, how we doing?
Doing really well.
Good.
Yeah, doing pretty good.
I feel I feel bad. I might have I can just see it right now. Like Dan's gonna be sitting there editing this episode, and then he's just gonna hear what I just did, and he's just gonna
Throw his headset.
I feel like everybody's going to kind of like rip their headset out for that one, but maybe Dan can tone it down a bit. But if not, sorry. It was beautiful though. I wouldn't change it for anything. So
I'm gonna punch it up on the video.
There you
Just
go.
gonna ramp it way up there.
There's gonna be some dude at work just like watching us. Boom.
I'll put headphone warning in the description and see if they figure it out.
Nobody reads descriptions.
No,
It's October. It's time to get scared.
exactly.
It is October. Boo indeed. So today we're going to talk about the Halo flight, or the little bit of a teaser we got for multiplayer. Give our thoughts and opinions on how that went, if we liked it, if we disliked it, some of the cool things we did, some of the terrible things that happened, if you're looking at my record. But either way, it's going to be a good time. So it was basically, there were two separate flights that we were able to take part in. It's the September one towards the end of September, and then an early October one. I didn't get to play the first one because somebody was like, I'm just not going to be an insider, fast enough apparently, and they didn't send me one. However, I did get to join the second one. So for the first one, I'm gonna have to rely on you dudes to tell me how it went.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could. We could probably get into more of that once we start getting into some of like the nitty gritty details. But I played a bit of the September flight, and I played a lot more of this previous flight. So the September flight, which was mostly just social arena. So you had your 4v4. This was the first time that they introduced a flight to Halo Infinite that allowed you to do PvP. So you got to actually do, instead of 4v4 bots, it was 4v4 players. 3 or 4 maps, and then just a couple of game modes. So it was like capture the flag, your Slayer, strongholds. Yeah, so I mean, like, I don't know. The flight, I think, went pretty well. There was a little bit of a hiccup going into it, I think. They had some issues, I think, getting the flight out on time. So it was actually kind of delayed a little bit. So they ended up pushing it back. It was supposed to start, I think, on that Thursday. So September the 23rd. And then they had to push it back a day because they were having trouble getting, or they had like a really critical bug or something like that they had to fix before getting this release out. Does that sound about right, Ben?
Yeah, it sounds about right. I think you were also allowed to do like the armory and the training grounds and stuff like that too.
Yep.
But yeah, to your point, yeah, it was delayed or pushed back to Friday. And something to point out too at the start here is this was a technical test. This wasn't a beta, so there were going to be some rough edges. There was no guarantees like we saw here on that September flight that it wasn't, it's not like, hey, it was going to launch at this time and they blew it and it got delayed. It's a technical flight. They've been doing this with MCC for years now.
Yep.
Quite a few years.
Even going back to like before they launched Halo for PC on MCC, they were doing flights for that.
I think they blew it. I just to throw it out there. Like, you should be ready. Don't don't get my hopes up and then just poop on them.
That's why it's called a technical flight, right? So, there were going to be rough edges, but yeah, no, it got bumped today, and I didn't think it was a big deal. So, I also was one of the few that got to play it in the end of July
September
into
or-
August.
Oh yeah, you got the earlier
So-
one. I was really jealous about that.
And honestly, one thing that separated, sorry if I'm jumping ahead here, the thing that separated the September flight from the October was September was 4v4, October was BTB. I was more interested in big team battle than doing some more 4v4 arena. Just
Right.
didn't care as much. I played, but I didn't care as much.
So just to kind of kick this off then, since you played the one back in July, how was it between the July build and the September build? Was there a lot of improvements, do you think, that were made, or was it still pretty jank?
I think a lot of it was more. Granted, again, I think there was a small period in time on the Sunday at the end of the July-August flight that there was PvP open for like one session for a couple hours. I was not around for that. I only played some of the bot sessions. To me, it felt more of, it was janky. UI was still janky, battle pass stuff. Occasionally had issues loading into this or that. I had the game crash when I was doing the weapon drills. I did like 4 or 5 one after another, and then it crashed. So again, it was a little janky. I think the biggest difference was probably weapon balance. Unfortunately, I didn't play enough of the July one to be like, yeah, I feel like there's, this gun was 4 shots and now it's 5 shots or 3 shots. I didn't get into that much detail, but I did notice certain weapons seem to be, little balanced a little differently. So
Sure. And that's something that I didn't actually notice a whole bunch of that between the September and October builds. They seemed like they were pretty close to the same build, but I think there were some minor performance improvements that they had made. Not so much on like the networking side, but on like the general, how it performed on my machine. Oh yeah, what did you guys play it on?
both PC and Xbox. Well, Series X, I should say.
I was on the Series X.
Okay.
The OG X1.
The X1. Okay. And so I played it on PC.
Curious to hear how it played for you, Mike. So I've heard mixed things. So
Well, we can definitely get into that too, because I had my wife was playing with me on this last flight for the big team battle one, and she was playing on a Series an Xbox One S. And so, yeah, there's definitely stuff to talk about there. So, I mean, I don't know. Let's just let's start jumping into it. For those of you who have played this recent flight, how did the game feel overall so far? And how, by that I mean, like, I'm assuming you all played it on controller.
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Is there another
Cool.
way to play?
Very much so. Yes.
I
There is a better way to play, actually.
I have 20 years of instinct,
Yeah.
muscle memory, bumper jumper. Bumper jumper's not 20 years. That was introduced Halo 3, I believe.
Halo 3. Yep.
So 14 years on that one. I could probably play mouse and keyboard, but then I would have had to think a little bit harder, and that would probably hurt. But I played controller, and it felt the same between both console and PC. I know there were some oddball issues there for some people.
Mm-hmm. Chris, how do you think that it felt on controller?
It honestly, I having not played a Halo game in probably 2-3 years, it felt good to get back into it. Felt really comforting. Put it that way.
You haven't been playing Master Chief Collection? Come on,
I haven't
bro.
touched it a lot. So many other games.
Mike, what do you think?
I haven't played Halo multiplayer since ODST. So
Okay,
Oh yeah, I remember
it's
that.
been
that's a long time.
it has been. I played a lot of SWAT. I really like the battle rifle for the most part in everything. I don't know if it was just if it's the Xbox version or if it was the guns themselves are a little bit different, but it felt awful. Like I did not like the controls. It felt really jumpy, really twitchy, and super inaccurate on the weapons. Like the pistol I felt had like the biggest kick I've ever seen that thing have, to where it put my aim off on the next like subsequent shots. And things like the regular old like assault rifle was all over the place. Like I'd start burst firing and it was like doing this, and I was just like, well, that is absolutely impossible to hit anything. This is terrible. Until I found out like where to actually find weapons, because they were like in little storage lockers now, and it was just weird to me. Until I found like the battle rifle, and then I could like, you know, pick and choose shots at that pretty well, because it's just a quick burst. It kicks a little bit, and then you can find your spot. But I had just like the hardest time killing things, even with, you know, going for headshots. It just didn't seem reliable in the controls. And every movement, like the zoom functions and every single movement I made just felt kind of jumpy. And that was super frustrating trying to shoot anything.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely hear what you're saying as far as it feeling a little bit more on the twitchy side. Like it definitely felt like the game was very fast compared to other Halo titles. And coming from Halo 5, it was kind of interesting, because the difference between Halo 5 and this is like it almost feels slightly slower, but it feels a bit more twitchy than Halo 5 does. Whereas like Halo 5 felt very like, especially if you were playing the multiplayer, it was very like buttery smooth. And this might be because it's like it's a technical test, right? We went over that, but it definitely felt a lot more frantic. And maybe that's more of like getting into the gameplay of it more so. But yeah, I definitely felt that it was a bit more frantic. And did you guys kind of get that sort of a vibe, or do you think it was like faster or slower, or like compared to other Halos, how do you think this kind of stacks up in terms of like gameplay speed?
I mean, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Matt. You have more experience.
Definitely a lot slower than Halo 5, but I quit out of Halo 5 real early. I just, that multiplayer, well, that game, the entire thing did not, you know, was not a huge fan.
You weren't sold on that.
It was definitely, so it's definitely slower in that aspect. Trying to compare it to some of the older ones, it's been a while since I've even just played multiplayer in MCC. I've played through the campaigns, but yeah, I mean, I think it felt better compared to Halo 5 speed. Yeah, I don't know if it was just the technical test side of it or what, but at least I'm a little happier that it plays slower than Halo 5. I didn't get the whole frantic, twitchy side of it, but I don't know if that's, maybe I just don't play enough of those twitchy games or whatever. And this is just felt a little bit closer to some of the older titles, where it wasn't just sprint everywhere, slide, you know, all that crazy stuff.
I don't know, man. Like this felt like a Call of Duty title. This didn't feel like Halo to me. Like I've played a whole bunch. Like Chris, we used to play in basements together, all kinds of Halo multiplayer, and it felt a little more skill based. It felt a little more, you know, player interactions. You know, you're weaving back and forth with this. People are running, sliding, jumping up, shooting. It honestly felt like I was playing Call of Duty with Halo skin.
I could kind of see that. Yeah.
I guess I don't see the speed and time to kill. I guess that's maybe where I partially disagree with you.
Do you play hardcore in Call of Duty?
No.
Oh, that was the best way to play Call of Duty. Yeah, no, I definitely see it that way. I mean, I'm coming from tactical shooters mostly, like Battlefields and those kind of games. So this is immediately going to feel way more fast-paced to me. So it's tough for me to really remember what it compares to. Because I think even though it hasn't been as long as Mike, I still think ODST was the last Halo game I played, because it came out for MCC, and I was just like, oh, I'm there.
Sure. So, I mean, and that's interesting that you kind of bring this up too, Mike, because you have a very, coming from your perspective, it's very interesting because, you haven't kept up with a lot of like the morphing that Halo has done over the last like 10 or so years. So you're basically jumping from like a, Halo in its prime to now. And that's a very interesting perspective that you have, because if there's, if you go back and play some of those like through like MCC and all that, the feel of it, it is very distinct. These two games do not feel, between like playing Halo 3 and playing this, do not feel very similar. I think, you know, it was weird coming from, because I've been playing a lot of Splitgate. So coming from that into Halo, on one hand, you know, I thought for a Halo game it was very frantic, but on the other side, like I felt like there was parts about it that were just absolutely slow. Like in my opinion, like the time to kill felt like it took forever, but that might be because I've been coming directly from Splitgate, where it's like, it's more of like that Call of Duty feel where it's really, really fast times to kill. I don't know what you guys thought about, like, did that feel like it just took forever to kill people, or did you think it was too fast?
Oh yeah.
As someone that is coming from Hell Let Loose, yeah. I mean, it's just way too
slow.
So slow.
I can't shot from across the map. Like, all right.
So this might get into some of the gameplay and weapons and stuff, but I'm going to make this general statement. And this is going to be my probably general just kind of review of the flight in Halo so far. It felt very inconsistent at every level.
Yeah.
So with the time to kill, there were times where, at least for a while, if I was having a good game, I always went for the BR. And I always felt like if it was a good game, it's hard to kind of define what a good game was. I could three burst tap people. But then I could be the next game, could be 5 games later, I'm getting the BR and 5 or 6 taps would kill him. Or you get the random game where you'd empty a whole clip in the dude and they wouldn't be dead. And we're not talking, they put on an overshield or something. That stuff's visible, right? So when, at least as far as the BR, when that was working, I felt like, hey, this felt good. I could 3-tap people. You know, I'm getting rewarded for my aim, for, aiming like neck, so those 3 shots kind of just go up, neck up, and hit us head. And you saw that feedback if you were close enough. Longer range, I could 5-tap, again, depending distance. Again, to me, that felt good. Some of the other weapons, but yeah, I mean, I think it was just inconsistent. Another example is the turrets in the Warthog and the what am I trying to think of? The turret that sort of just placed around the map, which you could sit on, the placed heavy. Like, yeah, I could put round upon round upon round into a person with those guns, and it would take forever to kill them. And so to me, it was very inconsistent by weapon and, again, weirdly enough, by game. So
so do you think that was more of like a network thing, like a lag, like shots aren't registering? Or do you think that it was just like the damage isn't always applying the same amount of damage per hit that you're making?
See, I mean, that's, I guess, where we could get in that weird argument of, okay, where's like the damage fall off on things? Yeah, then it is a technical flight. We had a ton of different people. Maybe it was network based. As we're finding out tonight, which I don't think was a thing over the weekend. It could have been my internet.
Yeah.
Comcast, you suck. I don't think it was. I'll say over the weekend. I don't think that had anything to do with it. But I think there's too many different factors. It could have been, we work in software. It's technical desk. Could be just some bugs. That for some reason one game BRs load up and they do X damage, but the next game for some reason it loads some different profile. I don't know, just pulling things out of my ass at this point, but some other issues there. So but I mean, I guess I really don't have, I can't put my finger on what I think it is, because at least for me, I didn't really notice any internet hitches over the weekend. I think the only time I had issues with that was joining in with large parties. So
and we'll definitely get into that. That's that's kind of a funny story that you and I have. Cool.
I think I got some of the same thing, Matt, but I don't, like, it was all in the same game. So I don't know, maybe it's just hit detection is kind of wonky and it's not registering all the hits, because I came up with an assault rifle like right behind a dude who was kind of like taking long pot shots, and I emptied half of it into the back of the guy's head, turned around and just punched me and killed me. So I don't know.
Oh, don't get me started on melee. Don't.
I'm just saying, like, there could be issues with hit detection still,
Yeah.
and it may not be network related. It might just be, it was if it was in the big team battle like mine was, how many things is that processing at once in that area? If you've got a full group, if you've got a whole bunch of stuff going on in that space, maybe it's just not registering everything as well as it should.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. That's it. I mean, it could be hit registration. Again, that's what I'm trying to say is like it could be a whole bunch of different things. Bugs, hit that registration, damage fall off that I just don't understand, and those distant mid-range fights that I was having could have been just something I didn't notice. Like, oh, I was really fighting at 50 meters in game, and yeah, 3 taps work, but 55 the damage fall off, and now I got to put half a clip into them, right?
That would be frustrating. If that's what it is, that would be super frustrating.
So I think it's just, again, it just goes into my theme of this, both these flights, inconsistent. It was very inconsistent experience.
Sure. Well, I mean, speaking of the different kinds of weapons, with hit registration and all that, there were a bunch of different types of weapons that were added to the game. And I mean, I think most of these were present in past flights. I'm kind of curious what you guys thought of some of the newer ones, and maybe even some of the existing ones. I mean, we've kind of already mentioned how the battle rifle feels. The battle rifle feels great. Like, funny enough, like
great.
that formula still works. Like, even if they like, personally, I thought the audio on the battle rifle was just absolutely just like that. Like, it just feels like it's just punchy and it just is gonna hit hard. Like, I love it.
If I knew where it was on the map, I always went to try to get it.
I always went to go get it too. Yeah. So we like the old reliable. What about some of the newer ones? Just kind of going through some of the newer ones. We have the skewer, which is that rocket launcher / sniper rifle with a big spike on the end of it. One of the heavy power weapons. You have the heat wave, which had 2 firing modes, which is like you can fire horizontally, or you could fire like a spread of like plasma vertically or horizontally. I think it was called the Ravager, which is like the one that you could it was kind of like not a heavy weapon, but like you could find it in most of like the I don't know, the medium type weapons, and that it you could charge it up and then it would shoot like an explosive thing. Of course, the commando, I've seen that quite a bit. That's kind of like your, I guess you could say like your interchange between the battle rifle and the commando is just kind of more of a long range, fully automatic weapon. The pistol, aka the sidekick, but the revamped pistol, because it's very different from what it was in Halo 5. It's not the same pistol at all. The pulse carbine, that 3-round burst, plasma shooting gun, kind of a medium range weapon. And then the lightning, like that lightning gun. Thank you for reminding me about that one. And the
bullpup or bulldog.
Yeah, the shotgun,
the new shotgun.
Yeah. So it's like it's a very fast firing shotgun. It's not the pump one from Halo of the past. So but yeah, the lightning gun, I can't remember what that thing was called. So out of all these,
I couldn't either.
Yeah. So out of all these new guns, I mean, did you guys like any of them in particular? Did you guys think that they were dumb? Like, do you think it kind of pollutes the sandbox too much? Or do you think that these is kind of like the fresh experience that Halo needs?
I liked the idea of the lightning gun, but maybe I'm just too noob to understand how to use it correctly, because I tried holding the trigger. I tried like shooting bursts or like just a like boop, boop, boop. And I couldn't kill a darn thing with it. It just felt useless. It didn't feel like it did. Like if I'm going to shoot lightning at a Spartan, I would hope that it just rocks them, right? Because it's lightning, but it just didn't seem like it did a whole lot.
I think its uses were quickly knock out shields. So the idea is, you could kill somebody with it, but you knock out their shield, switch to sidekick, AR.
So they're just giving you another noob combo, giving you the lightning gun instead of a plasma pistol. And
funny you should say that, because the plasma pistol no longer EMP shocks vehicles. This lightning gun is doing that.
What?
For the technical flight. Let's throw this up again. We'll say this again.
Yeah,
a lot of
fair.
this can change when the game launches.
Yep. Yeah, this is just more or less balancing changes. It's not necessarily like the final product on what's going to be in the game. I mean, I think most of the weapons that we saw in the flight are probably going to be in the game, so I don't think that they're going to straight axe any of these.
just pull it out.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, but yeah, they probably could tweak like the functionality of them a little bit.
But the plasma pistol, not EMP shocking vehicles, like that could maybe they wanted to take that out of the flight to force people, once they figured out the lightning gun does it, to kind of use that, see how people like it, see how it's balanced. I don't know. Again, a lot of that stuff could change, but
yeah, I got really disappointed during one of the big team battle games because there was a warthog rolling right by me and I had a charged plasma pistol. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get this bitch, and then I just like hit him with it and nothing happened. And I was like, oh, that was actually like, I was genuinely disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
Do they still have grenades in this game? Because I couldn't find them.
God, yes. I get spam killed by grenades all the time.
I saw them bounce in. Maybe I didn't know what button. Do you start with grenades like old timey?
2 frags.
Oh yeah.
What the hell button was it?
I do remember it being kind of weird to throw
always
it.
Been left trigger.
It should be either left trigger or one of the bumpers.
Didn't do it.
Sorry, I play bumper jumper, so if they change the default control scheme, I have no clue.
I hit every button that I could think of to throw a grenade, and it just did not. So that was super cool. I had opportunities left and right for blowing up things, and I was like, we'll just get shot down because it didn't actually throw anything. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
They had frag, they had spike, they had plasma, and I forget the name of the new one.
But it's like a shock grenade.
Yeah.
I actually like that one.
It was like almost like a power drain, but in grenade form. Like the power drain from Halo 3, if you remember that.
Mm-hmm.
I liked
it's kind of like that.
I liked throwing it into a group of people and then going in with my BR and headshotting people.
Right. Then you're playing SWAT all of a sudden. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Basically. As far as the weapons, I never really quite figured out a good way. I never got to play very well with the Ravager. The combo or commando and the sidekicks, I guess, thinking about it, I felt those were balanced a little different in the July-August flight, and even the previous weekend. I felt they were a little stronger, but those were also a lot closer quarter combat situations, right? Because we were playing 4v4, not BTB. So it could have just been size of map and proximity of the enemies I was fighting compared to BTB. So that could just be I don't know. A little different there. I wasn't a fan. I hope there's another real shotgun in there. That Heat Wave was fun. I actually liked you can go horizontal, vertical. That was kind of fun.
And they bounce too.
And they bounce.
Mm-hmm.
I am both a fan and not a fan of the bullpup.
Bulldog.
I wrote it down, bullpup. So I'm reading the note. Bull. There you go. Mike's gonna fix it. The bulldog. 20 years of being able to fire a shot or two and then refill just 1 or 2 shells. Just super nice, and be able to interrupt that animation to fire here this is just a drum magazine, so if you're reloading, there's no, oh crap, there's somebody there, let me actually interrupt my animation for loading and fire maybe the 1 or 2 rounds I have left, or however many rounds you have in your magazine. I miss being able to do that. Maybe they'll have another shotgun in there similar, or maybe I just need to start using Heat Wave. I don't know. But it was a little bummer there whenever I got caught in a couple situations where, again, that 20 years of instinct was like, cool, 2-3 shots, let me reload, just not thinking that it's a drum magazine, and get caught with my pants down.
Does that happen a lot? Getting caught with your pants
more
down?
often than you would think.
There was a guy that I used to play with, when we do the Halo LAN parties, that was just an assassin with that shotgun. That was primarily the cause, is he could just, reload 1 or 2. He would just dance on top, and I'm pretty sure it was Blood Gulch. Is that the big
I love Blood
with the 2 bases?
Yeah.
Just dancing for days on top of their base while we're like swiping the flag. It was quite amazing. So is the old I couldn't find a lot of weapons. Is the old shotgun still there?
Not that we could see.
Replace?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Again, this
not that
also
we
I
could
never
see.
noticed it.
This isn't the full arsenal of weapons either.
Sure.
But not that I saw. For the final game, it's not the full arsenal of weapons. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be there. but don't quote me on that.
So is there any weapons that you guys in particularly liked? I know you said that Matt, you liked the Heat Wave. Yeah, besides the ones that already exist in Halo.
I liked I'm gonna continue with it. The bullpup whenever I wasn't dumbass. Only complaint about that one was it felt like you did have to be very close to do damage, or that could just go in the inconsistency column. Definitely, yeah.
The spread seemed really
wide. There was one time I walked up to someone's back, I shoved the gun in his bum and fired, and he turned around and punched me in the face, and I died. So that was not a fun experience.
He's got an iron bum. That's why.
Yeah.
That's where you always put the most armor.
Yeah.
Is your bum.
It's true.
I mean, the bullpuppy was nice, but the commando kind of fits my play style, so I kind of leaned hard onto that one when I couldn't go find the battle rifle quickly.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious. Yeah, like with that being said, if that's one of your more favorite weapons, like how do you compare the like the battle rifle and the commando? Like how would you say that they perform? I mean, they seem like they kind of fit pretty much the same role, but like
yeah. And that's kind of why it honestly feels like a gun. Like I'm not entirely sure I understand why they came out with it, because the battle rifle does kind of already fill that role. Like what? I don't know that I would acknowledge it's different enough, but because realistically to me, the battle rifle still has like a comfort factor attached to it, which is why I keep going back to it. It's what I know, it's what I'm familiar with, and until I get time, like good solid time to sit there and play with it, I'm going to lean on what I know so I can keep that kill to death ratio at least in the positives.
So if they've got fall off for like distance and damage, maybe this gives you that better damage at longer range than the battle rifle does. And that big team battle map was pretty. I mean, the one that I constantly played. I don't know if there were more than one.
There's only one.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was huge. That map was ginormous. So I do think that you could find a spot, post up, and just start, taking pot shots on people with something with a little more range to it. So I didn't see a sniper rifle, per the usual one I'm used to.
Oh, they're on the
there.
rocks. Yeah, there's like little like rock bridges or whatever. Sometimes the skewer would spawn there. Sometimes the sniper rifle would spawn there.
I picked up the skewer once and immediately died from someone else. So it's like, well, okay, guess it's just not something I get to play with.
That's one of those things where you have to live long enough to get there.
Yeah. I'm not good at that.
So I didn't find many weapons.
Oh, dude, like I had that the sniper rifle, and I had the skewer pretty much on farm almost the entire time I was playing. Like every time I would respawn, it was like, okay, go check the power weapon. Is it there? Nope. Okay, we can ignore that place for now. But
I like the skewer.
Honestly, I did too. I think that's probably out of like the new sandbox of weapons, that is definitely one of my favorite ones, mainly because it feels so good to get those like long range, like you see the spike going like all the way down the map, and you just see some guy get railed by it, and it's just like that one shot kill is just like, it's like getting an op kill with in Counter-Strike, like it's not exactly super hard to get those kills, but when you do, man, it's just like I feel good about myself. It's just it's a big feels good, man, and you can make some crazy shots with it. Like there was one of the games that we had played, I had picked up the skewer, and there was a guy who was riding by in a ghost, and I went to go hit like the front of the ghost, because it will, like, when you hit the vehicles with the skewer, it will like rock them around and like bounce them and things like that. But I didn't hit the ghost, I hit the driver out of the ghost, and I was just like, oh, let's go. I was like, yeah, I was feeling it.
I think I got more kills of people with the skewer. One thing that took me a couple of shots or two to figure out was projectile speed isn't the fastest. So if it's at a distance, you do have to lead them, which I thought was pretty cool. It's not a complaint, just a learning curve there. My only complaint, though, is I saw countless videos of people shooting vehicles and watching, like, I think even one of the trailers for Infinite itself, multiplayer, there's a Warthog driving by and somebody hits it on the side and the Warthog goes flying. Maybe it was inconsistent. Maybe it was weird, but I had a warthog coming straight at me down the road. I'm like, yeah, I got him. And I shoot it. It hits it, kills the vehicle. But instead of the vehicle like flying back or like maybe like the front end just going up in the air no, it just kind of kept on its same path and ran me over and killed me. So I was like, I was sold something different than this. So
you were like the dude who's in the movies who's like, this happens, or like watches a bunch of movies. This happens all the time. I'll just hit it with this and watch it flip over and walk away in the explosion.
Yeah.
No, doesn't work.
Nope.
I was sold something different. But no, I liked it. Reload's a little long, but I mean, again, it does a lot of damage, so if you're hitting vehicles, yeah.
Did you turn around after you shot it? Because that was probably why.
No, because I wanted to see the thing either the car go backwards or just stop dead in its tracks, since it's two things colliding head on, or like the front end go up or something like that, or down, I guess, depending on the angle of the spike and something. Nope, it just literally kept going on its same trajectory and speed, and it met my face. It won, by the way.
That's usually how that matchup ends up going. Sometimes not, but most times yes.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I mean, like, I think a lot of the new weapons are kind of neat, but overall it sounds like it's kind of a mixed bag, Like the new sandbox is kind of cool. Some of those weapons are pretty neat, but like the Ravager, for example, I just never wanted to pick up just because it's like it felt very niche. Same with the Pulse Carbine. It felt very niche, like it was only really useful in specific situations that I was never in. So I would always opt for like, if I'm going to go for a medium range weapon, I'd rather go for the battle rifle, or I'd rather like even the assault rifle kind of performs pretty well.
AR was pretty good in the build.
At medium ranges. I'd almost say like maybe the assault rifle was a little too strong at range, because even when you're doing like kind of the aim down sight thing, like you can get some pretty far distance on that AR and have it still be very effective, to the point where I would almost say like the sidekick is almost useless unless you're just trying to pluck somebody without a shield, like you're just trying to get that one headshot.
That's the argument I've seen online, is everybody thought the sidekick was pretty weak, but if its purpose is literally what it's named, it's not the Magnum. It's not there to replace the Magnum. It's there to literally, whatever other weapon you're using, you basically almost finished off whatever you're shooting and just need that last pop or two. And you jump over to your sidekick. So we can argue about that, but I think that was the general purpose of it. Could be wrong.
See, I have like one little nitpick about the sidekick, which I think is kind of weird in the grand scheme of like the whole Halo, universe. So we're all Spartans, right? The sidekick is like tiny. This thing is puny and does very little damage. So I mean, I would assume it's not a very high caliber weapon. So why does it have recoil, like reticle spread, where everything else like doesn't?
It's a noisy cricket without the damage,
I guess, and without the power too. Like I would like, if anything, weapon. I would say like they really should, like, it just made no sense that like that little tiny gun in this big Spartan's hands, and you're still getting like crazy reticle bloom from the thing. Like I would almost expect it to behave like the Magnum, but from Halo 2. You know how the pistol handled in Halo 2, where it was very fast firing. It was basically the same gun. Like it was the same thing as what the sidekick is, but
the sidekick the one you start with? Is that your
Okay. So I guess we should mention both weekends you started with the AR and the sidekick. That was your starting loadout, and I could very well see that being default loadout for a majority of playlists, probably.
I did rate. Okay, so knowing that is the starting pistol and not something you pick up later, I actually, to Matt's point, used it exactly how he described. It's the sidekick. It's the last, pop a few shots off just to finish it out, right? I got a lot of kills just going assault rifle, and then at reload, flip over, pop, walk away. Like it was, it's fast enough, I think, and accurate enough in close range to where like the recoil on it isn't that big of a problem. But if you're trying to do anything from any distance, it is a useless toy.
Do anybody that actually? I'll be honest. I swapped it out as almost as soon as I could find another weapon. Those of you that did use it, do you know was swapping to it faster than, we'll say, most other guns? Not
That's
I was
not
gonna
that I
say,
can tell.
right, because again, we're talking like let's fit it into its name, sidekick. You need a right. That would make a lot more sense. You're firing your AR. You need some quick, so quick swap, pop, and then back to your AR, reload, hop in the next battle. Maybe wouldn't have to reload the sidekick, depending on right. Assuming that's all you're using it for is those last 2 or 3 rounds to put something down.
I don't know if it was faster than switching other guns, but I know it was quick. Like getting over the sidekick from the assault rifle was super quick.
Yeah.
You know what would have been really nice? To dual wield sidekicks.
Ooh.
But you have
That
to
would have
hold
been
them
cool.
sideways, right? Hold them sideways.
Oh my god! I mean, just to be cool, yeah.
But it would be cool.
You ever fire one gun whilst jumping through the air?
So, along with a lot of these new weapons, and I didn't really note this in the notes, but it's definitely something that I think is worth covering. The new equipment. So there's a lot of new equipment that is in Halo Infinite that not really making a resurgence, but I mean, equipment was a pretty big thing in Halo 3. Halo Reach, it was more so like armor power-ups. I think that's what they're calling them now, is more or less armor power-ups. That's kind of what they are. But they behave more like equipment from Halo 3, where it's kind of they'll have charges or they'll be consumed on use kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. What were your guys' thoughts on utilizing some of that? That being, there was the drop wall shield, there was the grapple hook, there was the little reflector wrist thingy, like the Captain America shield thing. And then there was like the little tracer dart that would highlight enemies in an area. If you've ever used that one. I don't know. What did you guys think overall about the new equipment? Do you think it was useful? Do you think it was dumb?
Get rid of all of it. Go back to cloak and overshield. That's it. And you run through it and it's on. Like
just straight up power-ups.
For whatever reason, there's just, and maybe I haven't played Halo in long enough. There was a lot going on in general with that big team battle. Like there is a lot going on. Getting to the point to remembering like to flip up your Captain America shield versus going through the firefight, to me just felt like an extra step. Is it really going to give me that, edge in this fight if there's a dude shooting behind me? Like, how much is this really going to do anything? Maybe the grappling hook to be like, "Ooh, Spider-Man up to something," right? But the rest of it just didn't feel like Halo-y to me. And again, I haven't played in forever, so I don't know what Halo-y feels like anymore. But really just having extra items to use in the battle, just it doesn't sit right with me. I feel like this should be much more of a God, I don't even know what you call this kind of shooter where you like original Halo where you run through the thing and it just becomes active. I don't know what the differentiation in the name of the type of shooter would be, like more arcadey or what that is, but
I guess you could call it like classic arena shooter, maybe.
Sure.
Because power-ups have always been a thing in arena shooters for as long as that genre has really existed. So that's fair.
So for me, arena, like Halo should be more of an arena shooter than like a tactical use your shields and flip out whatever items and whatever else.
The overshield and invis, I'd say it's cool that you can pick it up and not instantly have it on. That's kind of allows you to use it, decide when you want to use it. What I disliked was the 30 minutes in between when he's like reading the warning label. He's like, okay, yeah, okay, I'll put it on now. I went to use my overshield once. I'm like, why is it taking so damn long to like? It should be like, okay, I'm using, bam, we're in, right? Not this.
They didn't cover it in basic training.
Yeah, they're like, how do I turn this on? Is there anything I need to like? I didn't like the speed at which it was put that on, but I think I was kind of a fan of being, because again, it allows you to do, situationally. You can I don't know if it's capture a flag, you want the full charge as you're assaulting the base, right, or whatever, sneaking with the camouflage. The first complaint, if nobody's put it out there, the radar sucks, and I absolutely hate that. I think the tracking darts or whatever they were called are in the game. Those should be deleted, and radar needs to be expanded. As far
there
as
was a radar.
Exactly. That's
No, I'm
Yep.
not joking. I didn't
No,
see
I-
one.
Yeah,
Agreed.
there is a
Yeah,
rare.
it's
We
in
can-
the
we
same
can-
spot it's always been.
We can either talk about it now or talk about it later. It's up to you guys. But that needs to be deleted from the game. That was the most useless item. If you have a good radar, you don't need that. What was the grappling hook? I'm mixed on that.
I
The
had so much
overshield,
fun.
the arm charge thing is just a replacement for armor lock, kind of, right? It's a way I think to combat vehicles. I guess you could do it to combat hammers and sword bros and grenades, but
Yeah, did you ever do anything like really epic with that?
no,
Like bounce like a rocket flying at you or something like that?
no,
I didn't either.
I wasn't that cool. So
No, me neither.
drop shields needs to be deployed faster, and they seemed a little weak. But I mean, you also don't want the kind of bubble shield where it was pretty
Invulnerable.
invulnerable.
But
Mhm.
to be fair, that helped you as much as it did hurt you.
Yeah,
Because if one of your teammates was kind of a dick and threw a plasma grenade inside and it just happened to break your shield, then
Mhm.
or you
Was
could
there-
very easily kill yourself inside your own shield.
Was there team killing in this one? I don't know if I'm jumping off subject here too far, but to that point of like plasma grenades, could you still stick your own buddies anymore, or was that?
Nope. Quite
I
the
th-
opposite, actually. You could walk through them.
I thought grenades and rockets still damage people, but normal TKing and vehicles. I thought explosions vehicles could still damage people. You couldn't stick your friends, but if they were near a grenade through, I believe that still damaged them. But no, friendly fire was essentially off, which I think was a stupid decision, along with friendly collision.
No collision at all.
Those
Yeah.
are two really bad decisions by them.
Chris, what did you think of the equipment?
I enjoyed playing with the grappling hook so much. I loaded up a training map just so I could play around with the grappling hook and just zip around the map.
Now I didn't try it, but can you grapple something else while grappling? Like,
No.
can you shoot it again like a Spider-Man thing and like Spider-Man through you?
Nah, it
See, I
has a
wish they'd let
recharge
you
time.
do that.
Well, you
Missed
you
opportunity.
Can,
Yeah.
You can. I saw plenty of videos over the last.
Oh,
2
really?
weeks, so
Some people pulling it off.
it's timing. It's not like a shoot. Okay, now I can also shoot at the same time to start going
Yeah.
that way. It's more like kind of a swing. Like, okay, grappling hook, swing, disengage or whatever it was. It's usually a quick recharge before you can use it again. Find next place. So you're kind of swinging. But yeah, I mean, I saw a few videos with like the Spider-Man theme and all that stuff.
Dude,
as people are going around the training facility or whatever.
I'm thinking about it right now. How, like, this is even more of a shame that Forge isn't coming out at launch, but how dope would it be to be having a custom game where literally all you get is a grappling hook and you have to get from point A to point B on the map, like swinging
That would be
through the map.
fun.
That would be sick.
Hey man, I'm all
Forge
for
people, get on that shit.
I'm all for them delaying Forge and cooperative campaign to put bots in the training facility and weapon drills. I'm all for that.
It's very genuine of you, Matt.
I'm being an asshole.
Um,
What do you think of the equipment?
Overall, I really liked the grappling hook. I thought that was a lot of fun to use, especially when you could do stupid shit like, grabbing a rocket launcher, swinging around a corner and like shooting down at somebody or whatever. Like, that was really cool. Otherwise, I didn't really get much use out of anything else other than the grappling hook. I did do the thing in the trailer where like you saw somebody was like running for one of the skewers and I yoinked it off of the pad and grabbed
Mhm.
onto it. So that was pretty sick.
Did you steal it from a buddy or from a baddie?
From a baddie.
Okay.
Yeah, he was going for it, and I mean, thinking about it, I probably should steal it from teammates too. But yeah, so I got a lot of use out of the grappling hook, which was really, really fun. The trace dart I thought was kind of cool because it allowed me to do things like not so much stuff that the radar would accomplish, but like I could leave it on top of like, say, where a power weapon would spawn. So I just shoot it up at the power weapon spawn, and then run around some other area, and then I could see if people were starting to go for that power weapon, and then I'd be like, oh, okay, it's time to set up, because the thing, I need to get the thing ready. So that was kind of neat. But yeah, the reflector thing I didn't really use, or at least I didn't get a good chance to do anything with it. That was cool. And the I felt the drop shield was way too weak, so I never wanted to pick it up. Those are kind of my general thoughts on the that's my general feedback on the equipment itself.
I still think deploy time too is just slow for the drop shield.
Yeah, it is, and that's also really slow too. So with that, while we were going through this flight, we got to experience, at least if you did the big team battle, one big map, or if you did any of the arena stuff, I think 3 little maps. I'm kind of interested to hear what you guys had to say, at least about the big team battle map, because I know that that's what I got the most time out of. I did do quite a bit of time into the arena stuff, but I feel like just the sheer amount of players playing on the big team battle stuff, I'm really curious to hear what you guys had to think about that. Not only that, but how you guys felt about not only just the map, but the game modes on that map, and the fact that it was boosted up from an 8v8 to a 12v12. So they amped up the number of players in big team battle along with that.
So I only got deathmatch. I didn't get any other options. So I don't know if big team battle had a CTF or anything like that. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, I only got, out of like 6 matches I think I played, I only got deathmatch. So I don't have anything to say about the other times. As far as the map goes for that, though, thinking about level design and how things work, I felt like I could get anywhere I wanted to without getting just crushed, right? I've played other games where there are shooting lanes upon shooting lanes upon shooting lanes, and you basically get crowded into a small spot where everybody twitches back and forth shooting. Like Destiny had a bunch of these. You get into a lane and you're basically fighting for that lane the entire time. And it's back and forth. If you lose that lane, they're going to sweep your side and they're going to come behind you, kill everything. With this one, it was like a beautiful chaos. It was like one side I could see blue and they're all just running around doing stuff, but there's still like 4 or 5 red guys within like 30 feet, 40 feet of me. Like it was chaotic in a sense of, like it felt like a real possibility of battle versus people just scoping from across the different ways. So I think there were still good firing lanes. Like if you jumped out, like if you got out of the base and like went off to the right side, you get up on a little platform and you can still shoot down to like, I don't know if it's the middle, but towards a good section of where they're kind of coming in and trying to shoot at your base area too. Really well designed, I guess is what I'm trying to say. There wasn't a lot of like, good luck getting to other stuff. Good luck getting across the map. You're just going to walk down a lane and die, or you have to stand at the end of the lane and shoot. And that, the most recent multiplayer shooter I have played, that's not true. I guess I played a lot of Destiny. And that's how Destiny's multiplayer really felt. Like it almost like a MOBA, if that makes sense. You were either left, right, or middle, and that's where you stood and that's where you fought it out. Not a whole lot of pushing sides and getting through and being able to, club your way through like a bunch of guys because you got behind their line, right?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely could see that. I thought this map was fantastic. I loved it. I mean, as far as like a big team battle map to showcase, this was a really good one. And honestly, I think, just to give it the praise that I think it deserves, I think as far as big team battle maps go, this is definitely going to be in one of my top favorites. I think it'll be like in those favorites for the big team battle maps with like, Valhalla, and like Headlong and those kinds of maps. I think that the 12v12, great choice. They made big team battle even bigger team battle. Like that's fantastic. I love it. And I agree with you. Like it, because there are so many more people, of course they're going to have to build the maps out bigger, but it felt like there was like just enough space. There was enough space to be able to get to different places without feeling like I'm being camped, or without feeling like one team has complete dominance over the entire map. Like there was always somewhere else to go. Like there was always a path to get to somewhere. So I completely agree with you there.
I really like this map as well. And actually, I was sitting here trying to Google, couldn't remember the name of it. It's funny you mentioned Valhalla, because this is, I feel, Valhalla meets Timberland, which was a Halo C
Yep.
Custom.
That was a PC one.
PC map.
Yep.
It very much felt like those jammed together. I thought it was a really good map. Like you guys were saying, balanced. Didn't feel like there was any. There was you could argue 2 choke points, but there was enough room there that you never felt like you were fighting in a lane. Never really got spawn camped. I thought it, other than figuring out how they designed placement and where you took the flags, I thought it was really cool that they also on the map had 2 spawn locations for the flag. So it did kind of help mix up defending. One was a little bit more wide open outside the base, while the other was kind of your traditional inside the base. I thought it was really good. It was a great looking map. One of the cool things too, when you were playing capture the flag on it, was this is more just kind of a cool design. When you captured it, your installation, whatever building thing, actually the thing that shoots the energy beam.
Yep.
Super cool effects and sound just around that. Just kind of a cool little, cherry.
It's those top. Like those little details that really like kind of sell it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I really enjoyed this map. It was a lot of fun, and I didn't get bored of it compared to the other maps in the 4v4, where I personally got pretty bored with those real quick. So
yeah, so considering I play more like tactical military shooters, like modern military shooters, having a map that has verticality to it, but it's not something that stops you, because you're a Spartan. You could kind of jump and climb over everything. So just I enjoy taking advantage of that kind of verticality, because usually, if you're playing a Call of Duty map, yeah, you are stuck in those lanes because you can't go over. Yeah. What are you going to do? You can't climb up that 10-foot fence for some reason. But in Halo, you can. And yeah, fragmentation was just a blast. Yeah, it's just a ton of fun. It's just a well-designed map.
If I didn't mention it, 12v12 does feel really good, at least on that map. I think it's a great addition.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the best decisions they've made in a Halo game in a long time.
Yeah, if you're going to do team deathmatch.
My only complaint on it is the weapon locations, just the base weapons. I don't mean like going to find a sniper rifle. I don't mean like a rocket launcher. Just going to get like a battle rifle or like a swap out of a weapon. Like those little weapon locker things, I didn't see them for like 2 games. So I was just assault rifle pistol the entire time, because like I was thinking to myself, oh, I'm just going to go find them. They're going to be sitting out, on the ground in front of the base, or at the top in front of the base, or on the ground next to another object, right? Like an area of interest that you would find along the way. So that was a smidge frustrating for me until I figured out, like, I watched a bunch of people just rush to the top of the base first and then go out. And I was like, okay, there has to be something up there for me to, follow, pick up, grab. That was super unintuitive. So I don't know.
I agree. Like, I feel the weapon lockers are great around the base. They make a little bit more sense, but I do miss just being able to, we saw this on the big BTB map, that there were things that just were kind of normal, like the sniper or the skewer spawn up on the little rock ledge, right? That was your typical, just like little something on the ground to show something spawns there. Actually, I think they have like a holographic outline.
Yep.
And you could just run through it and grab it. Now, obviously, you could kind of run by walls and grab things as you're going, but it's not, again, you're going up against the wall. Here, it's just you run through, you're holding whatever keyboard or controller button, and you're picking it up, swapping it out. I do wish there was more of that. instead of instead of it just being weapons lockers. Put that in like the bases or starting location and be done with it.
Yeah, I think it was.
Side note though, on those weapons lockers, I did like the loading bar. If you guys didn't notice,
Yep.
there's essentially a instead of having a timer or number countdown in the UI, there was a little blue loading bar on the. I think it was red and then turned whatever. Anyways, loading bar essentially for when they would spawn next.
Mm-hmm.
So in previous games, they did have the weapon lockers too. Like it was just a thing that stood out, or an open pod or something like that, and that called your attention to that item. I thought that, not knowing that they were built into the walls, it did not call enough attention to me, like reach out and grab me to say, hey, there's likely a weapon in that thing, until I got closer to it. It's like, oh, hey, there's a picture of a gun on this thing. So just to clarify that, they have had weapon lockers in the past, and most people know this, but there's the change up in the way it worked.
One other way of getting weapons that I thought was kind of cool, but again, I didn't pinpoint to know if they always dropped in the same location, didn't pay enough attention. They did have essentially drop pods that would drop in weapons, usually power weapons, I believe. I would notice like the green pods, and there'd be a big green blinking light on top of it. And if you got close, it did a cool effect, and it burst apart.
I actually never saw any of those.
Really?
I didn't see it.
Did you ever randomly see a skewer or a gravity hammer? I'm trying to think of what other ones. Just kind of like the side of the road, vertically standing up, not like they just spawned in or somebody died and it's laying on the ground. Yeah, it was. I thought it was a kind of a cool touch. But again, whether it's just needing to play more, kind of the same thing with the weapons lockers. I didn't know if it was specific points that they always came in at, or if they were kind of random around the map. But you usually heard it. So you know how they it's kind of getting into vehicles, how there was always, I don't know, commander person or whatever, be like ordnance inbound or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they said for the weapons, and then it was something different for vehicle inbound, right? There were call outs for both vehicles and those ordnance.
Got it. Did you guys ever do the little door hack thing, where you could get into those little side doors on the big team battle map?
Yep. I always wonder what people were doing crouching by. When you're midway through the map, if you're pushed all the way out to the sides, there was Forerunner doors there, and there's a little UI or in-game UI thing, kind of like the lockers with the loading, where if you were there whenever it was, I don't know, fully loaded, you could open it up. And was it always power weapons? I only got in there, I think, once. There was a gravity hammer in there.
Yep, it's always a power weapon. So basically what you do for these doors is you head out to those doors, and there's a little terminal right next to them, and you have to hold like a button or something like that, and you initiate a hack on the door. And you have to sit close to that door in proximity for the hack to complete. And then once the hack completes, the door opens, and you're basically you go through a little hallway, and you're rewarded with a power weapon.
Makes sense why people were always crouching there.
Yep. Yeah. And it's sometimes a gravity hammer, sometimes it's a rocket launcher.
Damn.
Yep. It was pretty cool. I thought that was neat. If they're going to add more stuff like that to big team battle maps, I would not complain, because that was actually kind of sick.
Cool idea. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And you can see the door change colors and stuff like that too when the hack is going through. So if you see the door all of a sudden change color, you're thinking, oh, there's probably a guy up there. I could probably go stop the hack or go steal his loot or something like that.
Kill him before the door opens entirely.
Yeah, you gotta steal the loot.
Yeah, my
I chased a couple people in there.
Mm-hmm. So Matt, you kind of we're diving into this a little bit, but with this big team battle, well, before we go into that, I say let's finish up with the maps. Matt, or any of you guys, did you guys try any of the the social arena stuff? Did you guys have a lot of experience with that?
I just did training in Bazaar. That was all.
Okay.
So I could play around with the grappling hook.
Sure.
I think Behemoth is the only one I didn't play. That was kind of it had a vehicle on it, but it was still smaller, right?
Yeah. It had the two towers kind of facing each other, and then two bigger towers on the other sides. It was like a radial map.
As I mentioned, I didn't play a lot that first weekend. So probably missed it there, and I definitely was just more focused on BTB the second weekend. Bazaar, wasn't a huge fan. Recharge was all right. The middle was very open, which was the way it was designed, so it sucked going in there. Live fire was probably, in my opinion, the best. Just
That's
because
like the training facility map.
yeah, the training facility. So that just seemed better designed because there's like 2 or 3 sight lines, but they never felt like you were, again, kind of going back to Mike's point, like you were never like camping or holding. I think the only place maybe would have been the middle where the power weapon spawned, and when the weapon spawn, heavy weapon spawned in.
Yeah, that's what I didn't like about Bazaar. So I played Bazaar quite a few, especially during the first weekend. I played a lot on Bazaar.
Yeah.
And I really, really disliked it, mainly because it felt like what it kind of devolved to, especially during like Team Slayer matches, is it was like people would sit on those balconies and they would not leave the balconies. They would kind of just sit and kind of shoot at each other across the Bazaar for a while until like the rocket launcher or like the overshield / camo would spawn, and then somebody would go and make a move for that. And then once those people died, it was like, then it was just going back to hiding in cover, getting the battle rifle spawns and the commando spawns, and then just shooting at each other until somebody made enough of a mistake to just fall over. I had a lot of Team Slayer games that never ended up at 50 kills because people would just sit on the sides of the map and wouldn't want to go into the middle of the map. Same with what the hell was the name of the map? Recharge. Same with Recharge. With that big open area, there was a lot of people that didn't want to go into the middle because it was open. So going in there when people are hiding by like the battle rifle and the commando spawns, we're just going to just destroy you as soon as you walk down towards the middle. So it was that, and I felt like for a 4v4, that map was ridiculously big. Like it felt like it was way too big for a 4v4, but
I wouldn't necessarily think that's a bad thing, but I come from the old school Halo crew that would play was it even 4v4, or was just, 4 people on Sidewinder, right? Or Blood Gulch,
I mean that map is way too big for that amount of people.
4 people on one console. But it was
fun though. Like you could, because you were sitting there playing together in the same room, mostly for like the old school stuff. It was still fun because you're in the same room talking crap to each other, maybe coming up with custom rules, like you have to have a sniper rifle or like pistols only, and it's all, it encouraged you to, have fun with the maps too.
It was a different experience. It was a slower experience just because of the size of the map, which I would not argue is a bad thing. But if you're trying to do, under 10-minute games, try to get everybody to 50 real quick, matchmaking, obviously you're going to want smaller maps. But
right. That's why I thought live fire was probably like that perfect size. Like there was enough movement around that map, or there was enough space that you could move to different pieces of cover, or just to find those lanes and catch people off guard and things like that, while being able to feel like you could move around the map yourself without actually being just like instantly destroyed as soon as you left your cover.
Yep, it was the best feeling map out of those three Slayer maps. Yep.
Cool. All right. And honestly, I really liked Behemoth. I mean, I thought it was also a little bit too big for 4v4, but there were vehicles on it. It was more akin to like a what the hell was that map called? Like a Relic. Remember, did you ever play Relic from Halo 2? Kind of had like that one like stone forerunner structure, and it's on a beach. I think they made a remake of it in Halo 3 as well.
Halo 2 Anniversary, they did a new paint job on it.
Yeah, it feels like that map, which is a good thing. It was a fun. I mean, that map was kind of fun.
Yeah,
that was kind of fun. But it felt like kind of like one of those, or like a Zanzibar or something like that is kind of what it felt like. So that's cool. All right. Speaking of that, let's kind of move into vehicles. I think this was the first flight that we have seen so far that has got vehicles in it.
Mongoose.
Some of those cited were the Mongoose, the Warthog, the Banshee, the Wasp, if you guys have happened to try that. The Scorpion, if you were lucky enough to get one.
Good luck.
And the Ghost, which was everywhere.
I got a Scorpion towards the end of a match, and I made it halfway across the map. The big team, what's the name of it? I forgot. Fragmentation, and the match ended. It was the only time I saw a Scorpion, and the only time I ever drove one.
I have one big gripe about that is that I managed to get the Scorpion once, and I was really upset because I couldn't figure out how to control the actual tank with mouse and keyboard. It was very like weird. The controls were not very intuitive. Like, like when we go and we play things like Battlefield or something with like tanks and stuff like that, usually you can press like A and D and it kind of like rotates the tank kind of like in this sort of a fashion. That didn't happen. So I was sitting there trying to like spin the tank around or drive it straight, and really I was like trying to aim my turret somewhere, and then I would press forward and it would rotate the tank to go forward, but I would often get that thing stuck because it would have to like turn in an arc. It was a disaster, dude. Like that was rough.
Correction, there was 2 games that the Scorpion was around that I saw, because I remember when you got that Scorpion, I hopped in as a gunner. I'm like, let's do this. And then you start driving backwards and I was like, I can't help you.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to turn around. So I'm just like, screw it, dude. We're going backwards. That's what's happening.
I'd have to go back and check in each game. Somewhere along the way, in my opinion, they screwed up the controls of the Scorpion. I believe the first 3 games were fine. Just the speed of turning and the controls, there was just a way you could use it, and it worked perfectly fine. And I forget what game it was they changed it in. I do feel like most of the 343 iterations have been off. I just can't control them as well as I pop me into Halo CE right now. I could drive that thing without even thinking and shoot everybody
drive it
down,
blindfolded.
right? But to your point though, when I was driving it, it just felt slow. So it's been definitely changed. It's probably been slowed down to make it a little bit weaker in a sense, but I don't like that. I like the good old Scorpions from the old days.
Same.
I'm super disappointed I didn't see anything but ghosts, warthogs, and mongoose. Like mongooses. That's all that I ran into, and I remember how terrible I am at driving Halo vehicles because that mongoose rolled on me 10, 20 times.
I like the mongoose.
I love the mongoose.
The warthog seemed to control really well, as I previously stated, though. The turret was awful.
Yeah, the turret sucked in that thing, which was a bummer. Like it felt really weak.
Let me tell you about my battle against a Banshee.
Oh, tell us about your battle against the Banshee.
Anybody Halo lore people listening to this, feel free to correct me, at me, whatever. I don't care. Maybe something changed in the lore, but the Warthogs of old had AA guns in there, so they can, supposed to rip through. They're anti-air guns, right?
Was that the ones with the rockets, or was that the one like their normal? Gun. Okay.
So somebody got a Banshee. I'm shooting it. They had enough time to turn around. Still shooting at it. It's coming straight at me. Coming right for us, right? Shooting it. He fires off a fuel cannon, which I didn't die, surprisingly. So maybe there's another balance issue there. But the Banshee also didn't die. Now I'm able to track. Anybody who's flown a Banshee knows that, so you got to kind of drive out and turn around to get another, strafing run. It flies around. Now it did break line of sight for a short bit because it went around the Forerunner facility. It came back. The whole time I'm hitting it as much as I can, except for when it's behind it. Come straight for us. I'm firing at or straight at it again. Fires another fuel rod at me, and I die the second time. So I guess that's a good thing there. It takes 2 shots to kill a Spartan. I was just blown away that this gun could not take down a Banshee, with 1 getting to drop on it, and then 2 basically just hitting it a bunch with it, and then it strafing me only twice. So
that's
very weak. It's very weak.
I never ran into a Banshee that did literally anything. in any of the games that I played. So it must be like there must be something weird with the Banshee. Either it's like super hard to fly or it does no damage or something. Because yeah, like I never ran into a problem where that was, or I never ran into a game where that was a problem.
I got hit by one and it killed me. but to
That'll
your point, Matt, like I've been shooting with you, so maybe you just didn't hit it as much as you thought you did.
I think there's just some damage or health balance there with all the vehicles, because some complaints can go into the ghost. I was literally, again, got a drop on a ghost, which was also taking fire from other Spartans, and then it turned into one of those ghost v ghosts where we're just kind of strafe, with each other. I ended up winning that, but it took for fucking ever to kill it, and it was just, again, I don't think vehicles should be squishy, but I was just like, damn, took forever. But I felt driving for the most part in Warthog and Mongoose felt pretty good.
But I thought driving in the Ghost was also really good, and I also had a really kick-ass run in a Wasp. So I got to fly the Wasp for a while, and that was really, really fun because it was basically like piloting a Ghost that could go vertical. It was really, really enjoyable. So you just have like your little machine gun, and I would just like hover around people and like hover over the bad guys and then drop on them and then kill them, fly back up, go somewhere else. Yeah, that was awesome.
So is the Wasp gun
Could
then?
you hover in it?
Or sorry, the Hornet gun then?
I'm wondering if this is a single person Hornet.
It is a single person. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yep. It's still like one of those like helicopter rotor vehicles, but yeah, it's just a single seater.
Can you hover in it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you still jump on a? I think you could on the Banshee, but a Ghost. I know you could on the Ghost. Can you still jump on it and beat somebody out of it and throw them off?
Yeah.
All the vehicles.
Okay.
Yep. In fact, you can take the grappling hook and grapple up to a vehicle and then do that.
Yep.
Nice.
I saw a really good video of somebody grappling trying to get a Warthog, and it's going down one of the side roads, and you're just getting pulled along at that point as your grappling hook's pulling you closer in, and somebody was coming down in another Warthog the opposite direction, so just head on died. It was his own teammate too, not on purpose, but it was just timing and bad luck. But I was unlucky that I never quite got that cool combo of hijacking in with the grappling hook, but it's kind of cool.
I got a Mongoose that way.
Nice.
Yep. It was fun. I felt
Did
really.
you feel like a badass?
I did feel like a badass, and then I immediately died, but very briefly felt like a badass.
So overall, did you guys feel like do you guys have any other feedback about the vehicles in general? I mean, so all the vehicles that were spawning into the game were spawned in by like a dropped pelican. Like a pelican would come down and then just bloop, drop a tank down or drop a ghost down. What did you guys think about that? Because this is kind of a big deviation from the old Halo formula where they would spawn on the map.
Just there, yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious what you guys think about that.
I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
I liked seeing it come in that way.
I thought it makes it a little bit more dynamic than just that static spot that someone's like, I'm going to run back. Okay, it's not that right now. And then run away.
It would be nice if it was done at the back of the base. But again, gameplay design, they probably put it in, I guess, really the front of the base to incentivize people to steal it that weren't on your team.
That happened a lot, actually.
So,
there was a lot of times when people would try and ninja their way into like our side of the base while like a ghost or something was getting dropped and try and steal it.
Yeah, it's definitely an interaction building tool, right? It brings players to a spot. You can see, okay, Pelican's coming in. Ooh, I kind of want that, and we're all out on our side. I'm gonna go, gank it from you guys, and it's gonna be a fun, good old time. So I think it's a good addition. I haven't played a lot of games with vehicles lately, but seeing them just like spawn back, like if you go back to like Battlefield with like helicopters, and they're just poof, they're back, right? Like it kind of was like, yep, I'll just hang out here for 10 minutes and wait for it. Whereas if you want to, you can see the thing coming in. You can decide, okay, now is my time to go try and grab this vehicle, whatever it may be. I think it's just more dynamic in general. To agree,
more
to the
immersive,
point.
It was really cool. The only thing that I have a kind of a problem with is that you don't really get to choose what vehicles that you have coming in.
True.
So that and like for example, like the Scorpion was like super, super rare. Like there were times where
It's
you
always
would
late
not,
in the game too.
yeah, there were times where you might not even see a Scorpion spawn in game ever, you know, and that could be like across multiple games. Like it took several games before I saw the Scorpion for the first time.
Yep.
So I don't know. Like part of me likes that because yeah, it is more dynamic, but part of me is like, but there's a chance that you might just never get the vehicle that you need.
Think about it too. Like we're in the flights mode, right?
That's true.
They're not going to just dump a tank right into every battle. You know, you might get a Scorpion in the beginning of a battle. Now it might show up whenever. Otherwise, there could be like a call system, right? Maybe this is just the first piece of it, and they're saying, okay, we can, you know, ask for what we want because this is what we need on our side of the team to be able to fight, you know, another Banshee that's, you know, bugging the hell out of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's in the future. I don't expect it, but you know, that would be a cool addition to make this a little bit better, like being able to radio in your support.
That's
In
true.
all fairness, too, with spawning in the Scorpion, as much as I love that vehicle, there was not a lot of room on that map.
No,
It
it was
was
very
a
skinny.
tight
Yep.
squeeze driving. So, you know, yeah, you might have a tank, but I don't think it would necessarily mean you know you're going to own the map and have, because you don't have those sight lines. You aren't able to just go everywhere. It was just, here's a couple lanes to go around the base and around the map. So,
But it was fun to see that ghost round the corner and just be like, oh shit, and then he promptly dies.
yep.
That was a good time.
One of the other complaints that I had about the vehicles, and maybe it's my crappy driving, but whenever I did roll a vehicle, like getting off or getting out of the vehicle took forever. It seemed like I really needed to, you know, it was hold X to get in or out. When it would flip, it was like a good 30 seconds of holding the X before he would actually start dismounting. It was almost like it didn't catch up to the fact that the thing was like upside down. I thought in previous iterations you could just like ditch a vehicle mid-drive. Like it didn't have to come to a stop, but I felt like
No, it's pretty fluid. Or you'd get thrown from it.
I was gonna say
Right,
usually you
right.
just get thrown.
so I wasn't thrown from it, and these things were rolling. Like I'm terrible with this, and it would like 5, 10, 15 rolls. Like I got that thing up to high speed, hit rocks, flipped, rolled, and could not get off for the life of me, until it came to like a complete stop for a good 10, 15 seconds, and then another like 30 seconds of hold the button to get off of the mongoose, right? So I felt like that had a little bit of a hiccup to it too. I'm interested to see, because I didn't get into a Warthog, I didn't get onto any other vehicle. Did you guys have any issues with like getting in and out of vehicles and the time that it took?
A little bit, but that's because I was fumbling around with my controls a little bit, mainly because I changed up some of the default keybinds.
Sure.
Yeah,
But,
I can't
yeah, it
say.
did, at least with the tank, when I got in and out of the tank, that seemed to take forever.
Maybe that's just more realistic. You know, I just got rolled on by a mongoose. I'm probably not going to get off of it super easy. Or, you know, crawling into a tank, you've got, you know, you're kind of like lowering yourself into the seat. If it still looks like a Scorpion from back in the day, but, you know, so maybe it's just more realism.
Yep.
I like
So-
those high speeds in the mongoose though, and it just kind of, it's fun.
It is really cool.
Did kill a guy in a death roll. Like I was rolling and ran over a guy, so that was pretty cool. He was probably very angry, but kill of the week.
So I'm curious, there were a couple of you know, we talked a little bit about the radar a little bit already. Some of the other UI elements that I kind of wanted to cover were some of the new feature, like these are kind of newer features that they added to Halo Infinite that I'm curious if you guys really used. One of them is kind of a more common first-person shooter feature, and that's the pinging system. Did you guys ever use that?
Once I found it, yep. I
Like
forgot
by
it was in
accident.
there, and then I was pressing other buttons for something else. And then I started
What is it on the
using
controller by
Uh,
default?
again, I use bumper jumpers, so I don't know if there's anything a little different, but it was up on the D-pad.
Yeah.
So I thought it was helpful. I think, though, it's going to be more useful when you have people that are learn and are used to playing with a ping system, right? We play a lot of Hell Let Loose. You guys played other games, but how much are we like pinging things, right? So my brain's already like, this is helpful. So when I remembered it was a ping system in Halo, it was like, cool. There was a couple times like, okay, there's a huge group of them up here. I'd ping, but it was mixed on if the people I were playing with kind of really knew what was going on, like realized, how helpful that can be.
Right.
That button mapping sounds terrible. Like the up on the D-pad, like you've got to let go of your sticks if you're not using something fancy. That feels like a terrible deal. Does left click of the joystick do anything, like the L3 or whatever it is?
What was that mapped?
I don't remember.
It depends. Yeah, if you're using default layouts, I think that's either crouch or aim.
Okay.
It was crouch for me, and then
Yeah.
and then R3 is zoom on whatever weapons you have zoom.
Yeah, no, left trigger was zoom for me. Was like ADS. So
Sure.
Oh yeah, bumper jumper is the only way to go.
I'll try getting a jumper next time, and we'll see.
You'll get no argument from me. I've been using bumper jumper for a long time.
But
I don't play gun controller anymore.
Sorry if I'm jumping here. Your area pulse thing, that was the one thing I kept forgetting about, though. That was down on the
I was
D-pad
wondering
for
if
me.
you guys ever used it, and if you did, like, was it helpful? Because I completely forgot that it was a thing until I accidentally hit the button that did it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a thing." Did you guys get a chance to use it?
Didn't realize it was there.
Didn't
That's
know it
fine.
existed.
To be honest, I think that's good feedback because I think that it's kind of not super useful. Like, the only time that it's kind of useful maybe is that, like, Mike, if you were having trouble, like when you mentioned that you were having trouble finding some of those weapon lockers and things like that, that's pretty much what it does. Is you hit the button and it sends out like a pulse and it highlights those weapon lockers. Now, on a big map, on big team battle, I don't see that being very useful.
Probably not.
Like, it was, I guess, kind of like, even when I was playing like the 4v4 stuff, I never use it. You kind of get used to where the weapon lockers and things like that are, and once you do, you don't need that button anymore. So it seems like it's kind of like almost a useless feature, maybe more for people to learn maps, but once it's kind of done, then it's done.
If you take a look at the changes they're making in the game in general with the multiplayers, like they're giving you bots, they're giving you like how to play and lessons and different ways to explore how can you best play the game. It's probably something like that. It's another tool to help uninitiated players kind of get into this genre or into Halo itself as it pertains to multiplayer, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of a reboot, in my opinion, to the series. That will probably persist for however long they decide to make it a service. It's just one of those tools, and at some point the tool will no longer be useful, but anybody else coming in, it will be, if they know it exists.
Right, if they are aware that it's something that they can do.
Well, I think probably between campaign and some other stuff, like the training drills or weapon drills or whatever they're called, you'll probably get a little bit more of like a kind of training that way, right? Again, technical flights, I'm guessing a lot of that stuff isn't in there.
But you have to remember that the campaign's not coming out for a year after the multiplayer, so
as of right now, still December 8th campaign and multiplayer. You get no arguments from me to delay. So, but I think if weapons that were dropped after you were dead didn't despawn so fast, I think it could potentially be a little useful. There was definitely times where close to where I respawned, if I killed somebody, like, oh shit, that dude had this weapon, I'd run back over and there's nothing there. Because it despawns so fast, which I'm not a huge fan of. But I found it mostly useless. I don't think I'll use it much.
Yeah, me neither. I was just kind of curious what you guys thought about it, or if you even like used it.
Again, I could see it to Mike's point for helping initiate players or people that really like that stuff, but
all of these things, I didn't use any of them. I felt that it was so busy in big team battle that I had nothing else to like think about, look about, nothing but like zooming in or, you know, walking around without zooming in. That was pretty much all I did. So didn't realize there was a radar, didn't know there was a ping system, and the area pulse thing, again, no idea. But
Sure.
I didn't do any research before going in. I didn't do a lot of exploration of the buttons except trying to find out what the grenade was. So kind of useless in my opinion. Like the entire UI, you know, if they got rid of all of it and just kept it, like the assault rifle, you see how many bullets are still in your magazine with, you know, how many are still sitting there. Same thing with the battle rifle. You can see what you have for ammo left. I think if they keep the UI a little more like into the character itself, I think that would be, you know, better, more beneficial than trying to add these other systems.
And that's fair.
I think ping will be useful, and we probably want to move on, but I'm going to take a second to bitch about radar again.
Yes, I put that in there specifically for you because I know you love it so much.
It was awful. You could literally walk up on somebody, and I had one point. This is actually hilarious. There was one game where I had a perfection. I had 2 flag captures as well. The final flag capture, I ran literally from one side of the map to the other. I was scared the whole time because I'm like, I'm not trying to be stealthy about it. I'm out there. I'm visible. I was literally running straight, watch somebody perpendicular run across my path, and he probably, like, 1, he didn't show up on my radar. 2, I didn't show up on his because obviously he probably would have turned and then seen me with the flag and killed me. But there were multiple times, you know, just people would sneak up on me or, you know, just run by me, or I'd run by people because it's absolutely useless. It's literally, if they're not literally standing right next to it, felt like they wouldn't show up on your map. I think there was a longer distance. I laughed about this vertically because I was in the bottom of the base and somebody was up on the top of the base. And I saw them on my radar, but as soon as I ran out to try to go find him, we literally had to be almost next to each other for him to show horizontally on my map.
That's funny.
So there was larger distance vertically than there was horizontally. It's useless. You need to push it out. I don't think it needs to be massively far out that it is, you know, going to be a crutch for people, but it actually needs to be useful, or just get rid of it.
I feel like the ping system and the radar are 2 competing features, just to call it out there. If you're going to have a ping system, I don't know if there's a point to having a radar. If you're going to rely on teammates to be pointing out where people are, calling out spots, I think that's great. But as far as like the radar goes, then do you really need it if your team is communicating? Or is it built for lone wolf style where you're like, F my team, I'm just going to go, you know, dabble in murder over here by myself? I don't know. I feel like they're a little bit of a duality there.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. So the kind of the last thing that I just wanted to get into before we kind of wrap this up and get, you know, just some closing thoughts. But, you know, we talked about how this was a flight. This is a test, and it's not like a beta. Despite what some journalists are calling it, it is not a beta. Especially not like a paid beta, like, you know, like other things call it a beta. This is a technical test of the multiplayer. But with that comes a lot of issues. Did you guys run into frequent things like bugs, crashes, network issues, things like that were really, really obvious?
I would say the biggest issue, just gonna broken record here, would be whatever was causing the inconsistent gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
That inconsistent feeling that would have game to game, because it's got to be something, bugs or whatever. I did have once or twice it just kind of One time we were loading into a match and it kicked me out, but it got my buddy still got in. I know Rich, you and I, when we were trying to get like 7 or 8 of us in, we
Right.
couldn't. We
Yep.
could team up in the lobby, but it would just crash other people's games. I think, have twice between the 2 weekends crash out to either Windows or the Xbox menu, depending on which system I was on.
Mm-hmm. Did you get a lot of crashes on the Xbox?
Just once, that like hard crash out to the Xbox menu.
Okay.
Again, that was where I experienced the in-game getting kicked out of a game, where my buddy got in, and then obviously I was on that when we were trying to all get in, 8 of us or whatever, 7, 8 of us the one night.
Mm-hmm.
So
Gotcha. So yeah, I mean, like from the PC perspective, it was pretty rough. I had a lot of crashes to desktop. I had a lot of UI and like party system bugs and matchmaking bugs and things like that. Like a lot of the time we ended up running into the this user was banned bug, where it would flag somebody's account as though they were banned, and so they would have to basically log off for a while and then come back in like 10-20 minutes later or something like that, and then they would be unbanned, but it would block us from actually queuing for matchmaking again.
Was that person somebody that had it crash multiple times in a row?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I saw reports of people having the game crash and kick them out of the game, and that register as you quitting mid-match. So they get the whatever partial ban or whatever. Yeah, I saw a couple people comment like, I was in the middle of a game, it crashed, I tried loading back in, and I get whatever, you're banned, whatever the message was.
Right. But yeah, like back to what you said, I mean, we tried creating a party of a bunch of people for Big Team Battle. Supposedly you could have a max party size of about 28 people. That's what the cap was according to the UI, the menu UI, which is a lot of people, and that's awesome. The issue was by the time we started getting like 7 people, we couldn't keep people together. Like somebody would either get dropped from the party, or they couldn't see the queue, or we would start the queue and somebody wouldn't be able to load the map, and then it was just a disaster. And so we ended up we had to end up splitting our group, because having that party size was just causing all kinds of chaos with the client, and it was just breaking down with that many people, which was really, really unfortunate. And it wasn't even like we were using all PC players. Like I think for the majority, they were on Xboxes. Like we had a bunch of Xbox people and we had a couple of PC people that we were playing with. And it was just kind of a mixed bag at who was getting booted from the network, or we'd have, login issues or something like that. There's a ton of those kinds of problems that we were running into.
I do want to, since I'm not full of hate and anger, so I want to give a little credit where credit is due here. It was a technical test and we had our struggles just in general, but give it to 343 for connecting PC, Series
crossplay,
and Xbox One consoles and being able to play together.
Wow.
That's I mean, there's crossplay out there, yes, but usually it's kind of within the same generation or vertically in the same Xbox like Series to Xbox One, but connecting all those environments up with their various iterations is props to them.
Yep. But I do want to call it out. I mean, I do want to make sure that these bugs and these network problems are noted, because this is all kind of going into what the state of where I think it'll be in a month, in 2 months when it releases. I mean, we're 2 months out from this game going live. So I'm kind of curious what your guys' overall feel of the technical side of it, and if you think that do you think that it's kind of in a good state, that they could probably fix a lot of these problems before releasing this, or do you think that it's
Come
on, Matt.
Want me to go first? Okay.
You want to.
the question that continues to pop in my mind, which makes me worried about December 8th for right now, Mike, single player and multiplayer. The question that I couldn't get out of my head this weekend with these issues and with things being unbalanced and just networking stuff being off. One thing we don't need to get into, but I do want to mention is just the UI in general, like menus, like out of game, are garbage.
Mhm.
The question that's kept popping up is what game would we have gotten last year? Like, to me, single player, I could, in my mind, with knowing nothing of the development behind the scenes, multiplayer sounded like, okay, if we were going to ship last year, that probably was ready. It was just more of like the ray tracing and what's going on with campaign. It looks blah, right? So to me, there's probably should have just been a year of polish to multiplayer, and it should be in a practically finished state. This didn't convince me that it was. All these rumors and little things about the single player. Sure, I believe that. Joe Staten came in, probably, had things they wanted to change. So that being in a rougher state, sure. Multiplayer to me is like, why is so much of this so rough? So, so there'll probably, I would think, at least 2 more flights or a flight in an actual beta. I don't know. Between now and launch. So my opinion, can leave it open. I'll change my opinion if they convince me otherwise. But right now, I'm a little worried about the December 8th launch.
I mean, I would have assumed they would have had flights back then. I mean, when did we see this? In June of last year at E3, when everyone kind of went into panic mode. Mm-hmm. So they would have had flights then to kind of rebalance. I'm going to guess not a whole lot of actual work got done in multiplayer between now and then, because they probably coasted a bit because they need the technical data from people actually playing it. And you obviously the internal team would obviously have some biases.
Yeah, that, I mean, if I had to imagine, it wasn't the E3 demo that sold them on the pushed back release date. If I had to guess, they probably realized that they were behind. We were right in the middle of COVID season, and they knew what state the game was in. I mean, they had like that, the chain of command shakeup, and they needed to shuffle around staff and all that. My guess is that regardless of what the public reception was, they were probably going to push it back.
What if it was self-sabotage?
It could be. But regardless,
we did get Craig out of it.
Regardless, yeah, I'm kind of with you there too, Matt. I think it's definitely, I can see the fun is there, especially with big team battle. If nothing else, like the big team battle stuff was goddamn fun. And that was something that I really, really wanted. If I'm going to play Halo multiplayer, that's what I want to feel. It's just like, it's just fun. Like, that's what I want to play. That's
the biggest reason I dropped Halo 5 so fast. Because it came shortly after. Yeah, those were all shitty Forge maps.
Right.
Tacked into it was not BTB.
Right. That sort of like LAN party, lots of people experience is, kind of why we play Halo. That's why playing Halo 2 online for the first time. That's why I jumped into big team battle as the first thing I did when I played on Xbox Live, was because I was like, I want that 16 player game, and I'm excited for this too. I'm excited for, what we will get for even more competitive game modes like ranked and things like that. So I'm interested to see what happens. But if I recall, when Halo 5 launched, when did we get the beta for that? I want to say that was like a couple months before the game came out is when we got the actual beta for it. And it was in very good shape.
Wasn't that almost a year?
I don't think it was a year, but I want to say it was at least a couple of months. Like,
see, this is where I wish Dan
Halo
was here.
5
I was
launched
visiting...
Halo 5 I think launched in like September, and I think the beta was in like June or July or something like that.
I think it was a lot earlier than that, because I was visiting Dan when he lived in, I think it was short. I think that was over Christmas, because I'd have to look. I think that was over Christmas time of, I don't remember what year it was, 2016 into 2017.
Wow. Yeah, I was way off. It was it took place between December 29th, 2014 to January 18th, 2015.
Yeah. So okay, yeah, because I was visiting him New Year's, whatever 2014 to 2015 there, and I remember playing it at his place in Florida. So, yeah, so that was what, a whole 8 months, 9 months, whatever. Yeah. Again,
yeah, they were doing the beta that far out between the release and, well, that far out from the beta to release.
Yep.
And I mean, to be fair, like, yeah, Halo 5, in terms of on a technical level, felt very polished. Now, the story was something to be desired. Yeah. But
well,
like I said, the multiplayer felt great. Like, in my opinion, I loved how the multiplayer felt to play. So,
yeah,
take it with what you will.
I don't really have high hopes for this being a December game. There's some, like, the multiplayer possibly, but there were a lot of things that just didn't feel right. The polish that you guys were talking about, like Matt, with things not hitting or registering, whatever that may have been, that seemed just terrible. And then the networking issues. I don't think they get those to a great state before the release date. There's a lot of stuff that they have to fix still. I think if we do get it, we're going to get it a little buggy, and it's just going to be updates over time to, like, get it. And I would assume that that's some kind of, like, stakeholder pressure. Like, it has to be out. Like, we're not pushing this back another year.
Gotta hit the 20-year anniversary. It's a big thing, I think, that they're probably pushing.
So, I mean, I think I would like to see them push it back until it's done. Make it ready, make it playable. Because I'd rather, like, I enjoyed my time playing it, which is kind of cool to go back to Halo again after a decade and be like, oh, okay, I'm enjoying myself again. But I just don't think that we get a completed game by the time we're supposed to. So
I agree.
I think just, the one thing that I think that especially that I think the Halo community really needs is more people to play it. I think that over the last decade, I feel like Halo has kind of been hemorrhaging its player base, and it's becoming less and less popular of a franchise over the last, decade or so. And that could be because of, like, botched releases like the Master Chief Collection, the story from Halo 5, things like that. Like, it just kind of all adds up. But what I wanted to see is just something to really explode back to get people to climb into playing Halo again. I think the multiplayer being free is that really good entry point to get people to be like, cool, I got a lot of friends who never played Halo because they never owned an Xbox, but I got a lot of friends who own PCs, and some of them that own Xboxes. It doesn't matter now. I can play with both of them, and they can all play for free. So let's all get in and play some Halo LAN party style. That's what I need. I just hope that, on a technical level, that it doesn't, the bugs and the crashes and things like that don't ruin the gaming experience and push people out the door because it was just not quite ready. And I would rather them just push it back another couple of months and just be like, cool, I've waited this long. I can wait a little bit longer to make sure that the game, it is on point, because like I said, the game is fun. Like, the multiplayer, especially the big team battle, was fun. I did have a very good time playing it, and I would love to see it ironed out so that it is just, like, flawless when it comes out.
What would be pretty cool is if we hit up Black Ice and, like, rent a LAN party for Halo when that comes out, and just take a weekend and just spend a whole day or a weekday, whatever. It doesn't have to be whatever. Just get all of us in the same room, and maybe some, we got a few listeners or Discord buddies that I know love Halo, and just get kind of our own big team battle. See if we can get Faisal join in and whoever else from Black Ice. But
man, I couldn't imagine a better birthday weekend than a Halo LAN party.
Yeah, I think to your earlier point, Mike, this is not going to be a Cyberpunk. I think I could maybe liken this a little bit more to, if I remember, like a Ghost Recon Wildlands, I believe was one. The core game was fun, but there was a lot of little odd issues. Anybody that tried driving a vehicle in that game early on knows what I'm talking about. You're on ice the whole time, regardless of what vehicle you're in. I think it's just going to be, hopefully it's not major enough that, yeah, to your point, Rich, that it kind of drives people away. It's fantastic. It's going free to play, although I do think that brings along some other complaints that we don't need to get into right now. But I think that's going to bring people back in, and it's going to be great. To your point, the fun is there. The halo of old, there are bits and pieces, while also seeing some newer modern iteration on it. But I don't think, I think it's unfortunately going to fall into, we're going to release single player and multiplayer in the state we can get it in as polished as we can, and we'll fix all the other issues later. And in all fairness, this is what we're seeing with the Forge and the co-op being pushed out, because obviously they couldn't fix that in time, right? Get that polished to a point in time so that could be in at launch. So yeah, hopefully it's just not enough that it's going, or hopefully it's not going to be bad enough that it's going to ruin people's experience and push them away.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, just from, the friends that I've played with, their general experiences, I captured a few of them here. I'm not going to go into like all of what they were talking about, but I mean, just the general, like, I guess you could say the gist. And overall, the 3 people that I had surveyed that I played with had a good time. They did have fun, but I mean, they were, of course, not blind to the problems either. I mean, this is a quote from one of the people that were playing PC, that we were playing PC with. Basically, he said the gameplay was good, but the UI, I think he was referring to the menus UI, sucked. He said it kept crashing. It was unreliable when you try to join a game. The game is fun, but it feels like it needs a lot of work. And that was his general opinion on that. One of the people that was playing on Xbox basically said that overall, if they got rid of a lot of the bugs, it has potential, but it really was so buggy that you're spending most of your time just trying to play. You're spending more time trying to play with your friends than actually playing the game. Like, you're spending more time trying to get everybody together with all the crashes and things like that than actually playing some of the game. That and cleaning up a bunch of the what they felt like were like really janky console mechanics. I know I ran into that too, where the sensitive, like, I tried playing controller for a little while, and the sensitivity felt way off, and it was extremely slow, where I was like turning like this with my thumbstick all the way over with like max sensitivity, and I'm like, okay, this is not right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's something really, really wrong about this.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I had that same. Well, I didn't play a lot prior to you mentioning that, and then I hopped in. I was like, oh yeah, settings were. Once I found a good sweet spot, and then everything felt a lot better. But yeah, it was not a good spot to start with.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, like, the third person that I surveyed was, they were also on Xbox, and they were talking about how they, like, there's a lot of stuff that they loved about the game, like the sound updates, the vehicles were really fun to drive, they loved the map. They, thought that the aesthetics looked really, really good. But again, they also thought that there was lots of bugs and problems and things like that. And they were one of the people that when we tried to get 7 people together, they were one of those people that, kept crashing out while we were trying to form that party. So they were a bit they were kind of pissed about that.
Mm-hmm.
And just a bunch of general like UI problems and some of the issues with some of the weapon balancing. But I think the general consensus is that a lot of these technical problems need to be fixed.
Yeah. I actually do have a question for everybody curious on something we actually missed in the kind of new stuff in the game. But I do want to add, I'm going to beat this horse to death real quick with the radar. I think one of the things, this is actually something that maybe would have made me less frustrated with it, is the 3D spatial audio is not in a good position, because I think if the radar was not that great, but I could identify where things, even like footsteps, were coming from. I've played Siege, I play Hell Let Loose. Audio plays a big role in that, and where things are coming from. I thought that it was not in a good spot with even things like gunfire and certain things. It was sometimes hard to figure out the direction of where these things were coming from. So maybe that could alleviate some of my issues with the radar if you could hear kind of footsteps coming, assuming they're not crouched or something like that. Overall, some of the audio was good, but some of it too was a little frustrating. I felt there was you couldn't hear certain vehicles coming. Ghosts, this could be by design, and I just need to understand that's how ghosts are designed now. You couldn't hear ghosts until they were literally ran you over. And just some other missing audio. So unless you guys have comments, we'll move past that. But to my real question, how did you guys feel about what did I call it? Their new enemy highlight system, right? Every Spartan you can make unique now, different colors, armor, blah blah blah. It's not red versus blue anymore, in a sense. Now your friendlies have kind of this blue highlight around them, and your enemies have a red highlight, which kind of always makes it blue versus red. You're fighting red. I don't know if you guys noticed that. You're always on the blue team. How did you guys feel about the highlights?
I thought it was neat how it was implemented, and that it really does do a pretty good job of making my friendlies and my enemies distinct while being able to maintain all of their cosmetic appearance. Though part of me, being as kind of a boomer and being nostalgic for Halo of old, I don't mind having my color forced to red or blue, because that's kind of like that, not just a Halo classic thing, that's like an arena shooter classic thing. So I could take it or leave it.
I legitimately thought everyone was red versus blue. I did not notice, like, playing it on the original Xbox maybe is the kicker there, but everything was like, they all looked red to me and all my buddies looked blue. Other differentiation maybe with like helmets or like armor itself, but it felt like it was red versus blue. So I didn't even notice. So maybe it was just that good.
It fits their narrative, so I kind of just went with it, and because the whole narrative is this is a training exercise in essence for the in-game world. So having that kind of setup does kind of fit. Whereas realistically, when I'm playing, it just, I don't know. I kind of stop paying attention to it after a while.
So I'll say the first nice thing about it was much more noticeable than the July-August flight. I thought it was too low or not as vibrant or bright. I don't know. I saw more of whatever color scheme they had on in their armor than I felt that I saw the highlight. Other than that, my only complaint was I disliked how it highlights enemies really far away. This isn't obviously some stealth sneak around thing, but there were times where somebody could be sniping up on a hill, sniper, so pretty far away, and I just happen to look that way and I see a nice red outline and I know somebody's up there. I can see down the road somebody just run across the path because it's highlighted. I think that kind of I didn't like that because it makes you more visible. You don't get maybe that natural, like, he's far enough away, somebody doesn't notice that there's 2 or 3 guys running that way trying to flank. Again, we're not talking like insane tactics here, but
let me change your perception just a little bit, maybe. If you think about the technology and where they're at that point, it's your HUD is going to pick things up, right? Like your interior helmet lens is probably going to pick that up. Like if you didn't see it, but it can tell if there's somebody there, it's outlining it for you to say, hey, chief, threat, chief, look this way, hey bro, right? So I looked at it as more of like a technology, the age of, stealth is going to be a hell of a lot harder when your goggles are showing you where everybody is.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can use the world technology and to say, yeah, that's I guess, again, what you say, Rich, and maybe it's the boomer in me. I just I didn't like that it highlighted things farther away. I thought that was, you're at that point hand holding too much for newer players. So, and just helping out veterans or good players just by giving them that extra information that they don't need.
I mean, the bonus is it's an advantage for everybody. It's not something that like is solo to like lower level, right?
Yeah,
like it's
true. There was one scenario that I thought was really funny, is that there was a dude camping around a corner, but I could see like a little bit of his knee poking out from the wall, and I could see that bright red highlight over his knee. I'm like, oh, there's a guy there. I'm just gonna get the bulldog and just brap 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 around the corner. And then he didn't really get to do anything.
It's like I keep going back, like in Hell Let Loose, when you're prone, you think you're in a good position, but your legs are up in the air.
Any other thoughts you want to get through here, Rich?
No, man. I think we covered pretty much the whole gambit here.
You know what grinds my gears?
If you got to play the flights, jump over to our Discord. We've got a whole Halo channel just to talk about the game, and if there are more flights in the future, arrange games to play with people. So if you're looking for a good time talking about Halo, absolutely join us at our Discord. You can find a link there at our website, campfiregamingpodcast.com. Again, if you like what you're watching, hit that like button, subscribe. Any last thoughts before I sign us out?
Come on, one more Halo, Rich.
I'm happy we got to. Nope, that's for the intro only.
Check out the Halo Boys soundtrack. No,
nobody knows what that is.
I don't know.
I posted it in that Halo channel on Discord.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it. I don't know.
Right after I plug it, we're all like, "Yeah, I didn't see that in the channel."
Yeah.
I was more interested in the J-Lo thing that you posted.
There's some really old audio outtakes from the original Halo, and the Sergeant Johnson person starts talking about the Halo Boys soundtrack.
Got it.
Gotcha. Well, thanks everybody for listening, watching. Hopefully you had a good time playing Halo. And we'll catch you next time. See you next time around that campfire.